Hello and welcome to Good or Bad. The Killer Clown is back! It's Terrifier 2! Reuniting actor David Howard Thornton and director Damien Leone. They join forces once more to give us a slew of gory deaths and mutilations, including a man being castrated. Lovely stuff. Also a rather nice song about the Clown Cafe.
Drop on by the Clown Cafe, your favorite meals on wheels. The menu is disgusting and it's full of special...
I could listen to this all day long, but we must press on. So, what happens in Terrifier 2? Beyond, just death and more death. Well, it kicks off right where the first movie ended. With some death! Art kills the guy in the morgue rather brutally, but at this point could we really expect anything less? He then thinks to himself,
"Gosh, I am a bit bloody, aren't I? I better go and wash my clothes."
So off to the laundrette he went, where we see him walk around naked and meet a terror-inducing little clown girl. Well, nice to see he's making friends. Yes, nothing disturbing to see here. This guy dies and Art walks out with clean clothes, which I would call a successful trip to the laundrette. Time for a time jump. And we jump to just before the following Halloween. Sienna here, played brilliantly by Lauren Lavera, is prepping her Halloween costume. And yes, I did say played brilliantly, which is because, and I'm very happy to say this, the acting and the character writing is so much better in this film. It seems a lesson was learnt from the first movie. So Sienna here, who quite frankly is a badass in this film, wants to attend a Halloween party as a suitably badass angel warrior. But not just any badass angel warrior. A badass angel warrior that her late father sketched down in his sketching book. Best place to sketch things, that is. And this to me is such a nice way of building up her character as someone who wants to honour his memory by bringing to life a piece of his artwork. It also opens up a very naturally placed conversation about her father's death and her struggles to deal with that, rather than, well, being force-fed exposition. So, that's a clever bit of writing. Even the scene much later in the movie, where Sienna's friend Brooke tells her soon-to-be castrated boyfriend Jeff more about her father's death, didn't feel forced. Because there are several moments in the film where Sienna will have a panic attack or just look a bit down. And this scene was used to explain to Jeff why this was happening, whilst also telling us more about how her father died. And that's the key with exposition, just try and make it feel naturally placed. And then we meet her brother Jonathan, played by Elliot Fulham. He is also another good character, and when we meet him, he wants to dress as Art the Clown, which is very quickly pointed out to be wildly insensitive.
Oh, you're not doing that.
It's just a costume.
How would you feel if, God forbid, he attacked someone in our family and people celebrated him? That's basically what you're doing.
You don't see people dressing up as Jeffrey Dahmer or...
Sadly, that costume does exist. But the reason he is fixated on Art the Clown isn't because he is a disturbed individual, which is at first what his sister thinks. It is actually because he found his dad's old sketchbook, which contains several drawings of Art the Clown and his victims, which some consider to be unusual. But never mind that, because it's time for some Freddy Krueger vibes. Sienna is getting some shut-eye, where she has a lovely little dream including the delightful Clown Cafe song, several murders, and a fire. The dream sequence, if I'm honest, was a bit long, especially given the fact that the only purpose it served was to freak Sienna out. There are several scenes like this throughout the movie, where Art and creepy pale girl seem to target Sienna and Jonathan to psychologically break them down. And with the dream sequence, it was all about the fire, because it spread from the dream to real life. See? I said it was a bit Freddy Krueger-y. Sienna's angel wings, which she meticulously created herself, have been set ablaze. But her father's old sword, which is significant in this movie, because of significance, wasn't damaged at all. Which is very much pointed out to us, so I'm very much pointing it out to you. Which sadly means that Sienna is reduced to store-bought angel wings. She then bumps into Art the Clown, who acts creepy and scares her a bit.
Stop! Please stop! Please!
Hey, buddy. Wouldn't a quit causing trouble?
And after she leaves, he kills the guy working at the costume store. You know you're screwed when somebody turns the open sign to closed. And I would just like to point out this scene as well, because it's kind of amusing.
Oh my, they're closed.
Wow!
Oh,
Look at that, Mom.
yeah, that's wonderful, honey.
Cool.
All right, let's go. Let's go. I'm just gonna stay here the whole time. Come on.
Meanwhile, Jonathan gets sent home from school because Art and Scary Girlface frame him for dumping a dead animal in the hallway. He tries to explain that the clown did it.
It wasn't me. It was the clown.
Trust me, kid, that never works. Neither does aliens, zombies, dinosaurs, or members of parliament. So then he decides to show them their father's sketchbook, which now reveals bits of newspapers, which shows the origins of little Miss Scaryface. She was Art's first victim, who was the daughter of some performers at a carnival. So what now? She's a spirit thing and resurrected Art the Clown and helps him kill people? And beyond this scene, the movie doesn't really explain anything more about her. But I guess that's a job for Terrifier 3. It is also depicted in the Sketchbook of Destiny that a badass angel warrior will defeat Art the Clown. So I don't know if that means their father was seeing the future, or channeling fate, or maybe it's all just a big coincidence. Because jumping forward to a later point in this, admittedly, very long slasher film, 2 hours and 18 minutes. That is long for a slasher film. We then see Art artfully kill their mother and force-feed her shotgun-splattered face mashed potato while Jonathan watches. Then Jonathan gets kidnapped, and that sword that specifically wasn't damaged, he steals it. Then the pale girl impersonates Jonathan to lure Sienna to an abandoned carnival, which is where Jeff gets castrated. You know, he might have cut off your penis, but at least he doesn't wear your severed dick like he did with that woman's breasts in the first film. And now it's time for their fateful showdown in a clown-themed carnival house called the Terrifier. And what made them pick that name? Which involves Jonathan getting brutally whipped and slashed by Art's whippy, slashy weapon. Sienna then gets killed by her own sword. Sienna then gets resurrected by her own sword. Makes sense to me. She delivers the finishing blow by beheading him. The pale girl with yellowy demony eyes then walks off with Art's severed head. And that is, as they say, that. So overall, I think this movie is a far better film than the first one. The characters are so much better. The death scenes are ludicrously over the top to the point where a lot of the time they seem goofy. Not shocking or sadistic, more satirical if anything. Also, there's a mid-credit scene. Remember Vicky, the mutilated girl from the first film? She gives birth to Art's head. Can't wait to see where that goes. In fact, the bigger plot developments in this can be summed up with, I wonder where Terrifier 3 will take this. The whole Pale Girl thing and fate seemingly pitting Sienna and Art the Clown against each other being the two main plot points. And hopefully Terrifier 3 does go into this a bit more. But I am happy about not knowing Art's backstory and what drives him. I like him being a villain that is just bad because he likes being bad. But I do want to know what was so special about his first victim that made her come back as some evil entity. Or is it literally a demon that takes on the shape of his first victim, and it's just impressed by his sadistic nature and keeps reviving him? I don't know, but I look forward to finding out. So yes, a much better movie. The film uses its long runtime to build characters and suspense, which leads into a very satisfying fight between Sienna and Art, with much better acting all round, including the same great silent performance that we got from Thornton in the first film. It's just a better film in general, but I can see why some wouldn't enjoy it. Maybe there's too much blood, or it's just too long of a slasher film, or the unexplained plot points. Or maybe you don't like seeing a crazed clown attempt to eat a child. Yeah, that was a bit dark. But the movie has a lot of strong positives, definitely more good than bad, and I just hope that Terrifier 3 continues to build on what made Terrifier 2 better than the first film. You've been watching Good or Bad, and I'll see you next time.
There's a 12-foot great white shark in here.